Welcome back to Saturday Night Football on ABC, presented by the new Windows.
Kick shoes off, let your head out. Pull your beard out, just weird out. All night long, rock this house until we knock it down. So turn the volume loud, 'cause it's spinning to the ears. So break the pace up like crazy. Let yourself go, let yourself go. Life's too short to not go for good.
You're watching the ACC on ESPN. Top 5 showdown being dominated by number 5 over Clemson, ranked number 3, 27-7 is our score. As Herbie, we get ready to start the second half, and you know, Florida State won the toss, deferred, so they get the ball to start. It is critical that Clemson shut them down on this opening drive.
Well, they have to, down 20 points, and you need to get the crowd back into the game. They need to energize this stadium. If they allow Jameis Winston to move the ball down the field, put more points on the board, you wonder where their psyche might be. I'm sure Dabo went in there and tried to talk to his team about, guys, we need to stop. We need to get the ball back. Florida State's punted one time in this first half, so it'll take a big effort by Brent Venables' bunch.
Yeah, and there were any number of mistakes by Clemson, Herbie.
Yeah, it really started early, first play of the game. You know, this is something that Clemson wanted to avoid, keep the crowd in the game. Seconder with a fumble. LaMarcus Joyner's been all over the field, creating a couple fumbles and turned into 14 points. And a miscue. We see another interception. What a night LaMarcus Joyner's had here in this first half. He's been everywhere. And you know what? 30 minutes, Jameis Winston passed the test. Not only making plays, just managing the offense, making great decisions for Jimbo Fisher.
Williams and Whitfield back deep for the Noles to start the second half. And coming out is Whitfield on that far side, got a gap and blasts his way to the 41. A flag comes down. Bradley Pinion, the kickoff man, made the stop on that play.
Been a dead ball foul there on Florida State.
During the run, personal foul, face mask, number 92, kicking team.
Oh, a
15
kicker.
yards to be added to the end of the run. First down.
Well, we take a look at our Pacific Life game summary, and it is a comparison of our two quarterbacks.
Jameis Winston has played very, very well. You can see the 14-21, but the real story is the balanced play calling from Jimbo Fisher and Taj Boyd. Remarkable effort by Florida State's defense, getting pressure without having to blitz, which is a big surprise coming into the game.
The fourth time that Winston has thrown for more than 200 yards in a game as a freshman already. High this toss, and a great leaping grab. As it waved off down there, Green went up in the air.
The ball was high. Pretty good effort by Green, but I don't think he possessed it all the way through. The officials all over. It looks like he has it. Official had a great look from the other side, and pretty quick coverage there by the corner, Darius Robinson. Right there, I think where he lost it. Talked about Clemson getting a stop. Big kickoff return, and then the face mask. Florida State starts this drive with the 42-yard line.
So it is second down and 10. They'll run the toss play with Freeman, and he is jumped by the defensive front, Grady Jarrett, coming through to make a play. They've had their hands full with this Florida State offensive line here tonight, but Jarrett able to penetrate and blow it up that time.
Big third down here. Let's see if Clemson brings pressure, if they rush three and drop people back into coverage.
Got to get to the 32-yard line for a first down. Fires, caught, first down. Benjamin breaks free, and he's into the red zone. The 16-yard line on a big third down strike by the precocious freshman.
He has time to throw. He gets a little pressure off to his right late, but he steps into the pocket, and look at the soft coverage on third down. Once he had time, he's waiting for Benjamin to clear and make the turn. All alone, nobody close to him. Great job of giving him the time there on third down. 4 of 4 now on third downs for picking up the first downs for this quarterback.
Deflected, incomplete. It'll be second down. Pass was clearly deflected.
I think Corey Crawford, 93, he's dropped into coverage, got a hand on it. There he is. It was a tight throw there. I think Jameis may have predetermined where he wanted to go with the football there. His fullback led out of the backfield, was all alone. If he would have seen him, he walks into the end zone for a touchdown.
Second and 10. Incomplete. It'll be another third down. Remember, he converted his last third down. Breland was the defensive back, so this is a big play here for the Tiger defense.
Third down when he's had to throw the football. Not only 4 of 4, but he's picked up 4 first downs. The Noles are 5 of 7 on the night. Remember, Clemson came into the night the best in the country at third down defense.
Christian Green is number 89. Drop it off underneath. Touchdown, Rashad Green.
Little flanker screen, had some linemen lead him into the end zone. You don't always have to throw it downfield to come up with a big play. And that's exactly what Florida State wanted to do to set the tone here in the second half. Great field position after the kickoff return. Take advantage of it with a touchdown.
So he converts 2 third downs, a second one for a touchdown. Awayo converts. Famous Jameis Winston is about to move to the top of the Heisman Trophy charts. What a night. This telecast available in high definition, brought to you by Vizio. Jameis Winston with 3 touchdown passes on the night. And Florida State has opened up a 34-7 lead on the Clemson Tigers. Rashad Green being stretched out a little bit over there on the sideline. As you said, he's tired from catching all of Winston's perfectly thrown footballs and then running.
8 catches, 146 yards, and a couple of scores. You need to catch your breath over there.
Upset now. Watkins was trying to return it. And let's take a look now at this young man, Herbie, and what he's accomplished here tonight.
Boy, he got off to a great start. How's this for your first pass of the night? Touchdown, Kelvin Benjamin, to kind of set the tone. He has been flawless tonight in his execution. Found Green. Green made a big play. And then he goes back to Green on the flanker screen, gets some great blocks downfield to lead him into the end zone. So
I want to compare Johnny Manziel through 5 games with Jameis Winston. Folks, take a look at it. Absorb those numbers.
Yep. The one thing he'll need at some point, besides tonight, is that Johnny Manziel Alabama game. Maybe it's the Miami game in early November.
What's wrong with this one? Here comes one. You're beating up on the number 3 ranked team in the country.
I know. But I mean, you still need another. You just got to keep building. You know, we live in that world of what have you done for me lately? I'm with you. I love the man. I love the kid. But I'm just telling you, based on the way people react, it's flawless.
Well, the Miami Hurricanes will be ready on November 2nd. Tallahassee, Florida. Get your tickets now for that one, folks. There's a nice grab by the freshman, Mike Williams.
See what Taj can do in trying to get his team still to believe that they can make a play. He told me that Mike Williams adjusts to that ball that's thrown back on the back shoulder fade as well as any of his wide receivers, even though he is a young true freshman.
Here's McDowell.
If you're Clemson, this game's not going the way you intended, you still have to show fight. You still have to be able to show this is a long season. You don't want this game to get out of control. See what kind of backbone they have here. kind of character they have to try to fight back.
One at a time, 4 touchdowns and some stops. McDowell, you got to get the first one, like you say, Herbie, close to midfield.
This is where that leadership's important. They came in tonight thinking their tempo could be a factor in trying to be a bit of an equalizer up front in the trenches, try to wear down the more athletic Florida State defensive front. We've not seen that yet.
Quick throw and almost picked. Doing a great job with Seckinger battling the defender. That's Telvin Smith on him.
There are 2 guys on this defense that are just special. Telvin Smith and LaMarcus Joyner. Telvin Smith jumped that, and I think Taj Boyd stared down his receiver and made it a little bit easier. But I love the energy of the senior Telvin Smith and the senior LaMarcus Joyner. Clearly the leaders of this Noles defense.
2nd down and 10. Boyd's in trouble. Down goes Taj. Timmy Jernigan.
How about rushing 4? And Timmy Jernigan right in the middle uses his hands to be able to just throw down the offensive lineman. Horton didn't have a chance. He grabbed him and threw him. They're rushing 4 and getting pressure like that. Taj Boyd doesn't have a chance to throw the football against the Noles defense.
Looking at a 3rd and 17. Middle into traffic, and it was broken up that time by Terrence Brooks. So 4th down, and here comes the punting team. You know, it has been a dozen years since Florida State has come to Clemson, South Carolina, and won a football game. That's right, this series has been dominated recently by the home team. But here tonight, the Noles are well on their way with a 34-7 lead.
You and I talked at halftime. This Florida State team, it feels different. You know, this is a really good team with great leadership.
The drive, Kenny Shaw back to the 6-yard line. And he found a little bit of a hole. Shaw with a fine return out to the 30-yard line. Speed, quickness, power, and a quarterback who could be very special. What else do you need?
Saturday Night Football presented by Windows. Brought to you by Nissan, premier partner of the Heisman Trophy. And Wells Fargo. When people talk, great things happen.
Well, the Nissan Heisman House here in Clemson this weekend with games and fun for the fans to help get everyone ready for tonight's big game. And, of course, the Coaches Trophy presented by Dr. Pepper will be awarded to the winner of the Vizio BCS National Championship on January 6th in Pasadena. First BCS standings will come out tomorrow. We'll see how high Florida State will jump if they hang on here. Winston, pockets clean, deflected, could be picked off. And it falls incomplete. Spencer Sui, I'm not sure he could find it when it was deflected up there. Let's check it down below with Heather.
Well, it seems that Florida State got Jimbo Fisher's message loud and clear at halftime. He told them, we haven't done anything yet. Be prepared to weather the storm. Clemson's going to throw everything at us. And Herbie, you were talking so much about the leadership. Well, it starts at that quarterback position. I've been amazed all night to watch Jameis Winston and watch the maturity and the leadership that he's showing, wise beyond his years, so vocal on the sideline, getting not only the offense but the defense involved. And I haven't seen leadership like this from a freshman quarterback on the bench in a long time.
Drops it off to Benjamin, complete, another first down.
Heather, he told us this week, which I found interesting, he redshirted last year after all the hype. Usually these guys come in and they play right away. He said while he redshirted,
on the defense, hit to the head of a defensive player. That player is disqualified. Play is under further review.
That's Breland, who has been ejected, and instant replay will take a look at this. They can't overturn the penalty.
he blitzed and he ended up hitting the quarterback high. Winston, after he threw it, he's a defenseless player. See where the initial contact is. Yeah, they're going to throw him out for that. That'll hold up
for the rest of this game and the first half of the next one.
Yep. And you could see Winston point to that. I just want to finish that because He told me this week, he said, when I redshirted, I sat behind E.J. Manuel. E.J. was so helpful. I traveled with the team. I absorbed everything. He said, I didn't sit around and pout. I really did everything that I needed to do to get myself ready to go. And I think it's paying dividends now. He's just a natural-born leader. Blitz comes from right out here.
Oh, yeah. Like he even launched himself on this one. This one easy. And that's what they're trying to eliminate right there.
It is confirmed. Number 17 is disqualified.
They're saying he affects not just the offense but the defense. He is a kind of a rah-rah type of guy. He's cheering the defense on, cheering the offense on. Breeden has to head to the locker room.
Carlos Williams checks into the backfield for the Noles. Pitches a flare pass. Got a first down, and there's another flag.
Holding, 54 offense, 10 yards previous spot, still first down.
That's the right guard, Jackson. You saw Winston right there with the offensive line after that mistake. Not afraid to speak up. And of course, with this big lead, you basically have taken the crowd out of it now. Beasley in pursuit. It was Beasley who chased him out of the pocket, and then he was brought down. DJ Reader cleaned it up, but watch number 3 get loose.
Off to the left. First time tonight he's gotten pressure. He didn't bite on the fake at all. He and Jarrett also got in there before DJ Reader cleaned it up. Every time I say DJ Reader, I'm shocked to think that he pitches for the baseball team at 325 pounds.
It's amazing.
Can you imagine that big fella getting out on that mound? I wouldn't want to face him.
See what the freshman can come up with on 2nd and 28. He's going to get sacked again, and this time he's brought down by Corey Crawford, the junior from Columbus, Georgia.
Crawford tonight named captain. There was so much talk about breast cancer awareness in the whole month of October. Tonight, Breast Cancer Awareness Week for Clemson. His mother passed away from breast cancer a couple years ago. He's dedicated this game tonight to her. He's deflected a bunch of passes. That time he got the pressure.
Freeman to pick up a few yards. Beasley flashes that time, throws the running back down, and the Noles will punt.
Lined him up at linebacker that time, something that Brent Venables has not shown all year, and he showed pretty good closing speed for a defensive end playing linebacker. Right here, usually he's out here on the side, but I think he knew that they were probably going to hand it off on 3rd and long, but great speed. Made a couple plays on that series.
He did indeed. First time he's flashed. Got his first tackle on that second one. Good pressure on the first one. Beatty in now to punt this away. Humphries is back deep for the Tigers. Beautiful punt. Drives it back to the 15-yard line, and here comes Humphries looking for an alley on the right. Got a block. 40, 45, midfield, coming down the sideline and out of bounds. A fine return by Adam Humphries, a junior from just up the road from Spartanburg, South Carolina.
A very good athlete. who they have as a slot receiver, back with those sure hands. He makes the first guy miss, picks up a couple good blocks, and now he's just kind of buying his time to try to pick up one more block until he gets down the sidelines. He almost got to the corner and took it to the end zone.
Sort of out-punted coverage. It was a 50-yard punt and a 45-yard return. And McDowell swinging over to the left side. He crosses the 35-yard line for the Tigers.
Have not seen this offense get to the perimeter in their running game very much tonight. It might be the second time we've seen them have a little bit of room to the outside.
2nd and 5. Swing it dropped on the outside by Stanton's secondary.
I think he started to peek upfield before he secured the football. Watch his eyes. He's looking down the field. And he starts to peek up right before he caught the football. You see where those Florida State defenders were. You got to catch the ball first.
Third down and 5. They rushed 5. Almost got there. Incomplete. Intended for the freshman Williams.
Then Taj Boyd erratic. But because of that pressure with 4, they're closing in on him. Mike Williams could have made that catch for the first down. Sammy Watkins was challenged by Chad Morris, his offensive coordinator. And all the receivers were about, hey, last year we got beat up in Tallahassee. And they're getting beaten up again tonight.
Need 5 yards to keep this going. This is a 4th down. Taj to the right, fires, intercepted. Picked off by Darby. Ronald Darby shaken up on the play as he's tackled after the interception.
Brent, I happen to be watching him. He baited his throw the entire time. Watch him out here. He's just waiting, and then steps in front of it. It was almost like, yeah, throw it, he's open, baited the throw from Boyd, and it stepped in front for the interception.
And the trap was closed. You're watching the ACC on ESPN. Florida State builds a big lead. Aerial coverage provided by Goodyear. Everything Goodyear has learned making tires that go the distance inspires what they roll into yours. Goodyear. More driven. Tough night for Taj Boyd. 12 of 30. Only 116 yards. Clemson has only 174 total yards here tonight. And Williams, Carlos Williams, back in. And, of course, Jameis Winston's parents are very proud of the young man. Antonio and Loretta Winston. Now, Loretta's nickname is J-Boo. That was the nickname she gave Jameis when he was very, very young. The media has tagged on Famous Jameis, and I dare say after tonight, Mom, Famous is going to be a little more prominent in the headlines than J-Boo. Here comes Winston firing now, complete to O'Leary. And let us check in with Robert Fuller. So another one falls.
Consider Ole Miss the injuries that have mounted on that side of the ball. That is a heroic effort by Hugh Freeze's bunch tonight.
Remember, they went into Austin and whipped up on Texas earlier this season. Winston takes off, tucks the ball away, and he's short of midfield. Suey is there again.
Got a flag here.
Thrown way back in the backfield by one of the line judges.
What is that now? 6 of the top 12? They're going to go down?
Number 9 on the defense.
I think so.
Fingers,
6
hands
of the
to
top
face.
12.
That's 15 yards from the end of the run. Automatic first down.
If last week they were calling Shake-Up Saturday, I don't know what today is.
And you know, when you look at the penalties, they were very one-sided at one time, but now here in the second half, they've gone against Clemson. In terms of turnovers, Clemson's turned the ball over 4 times in this game, resulting in 17 of Florida State's 34 points. And the Tiger attack is bogged down tonight. They don't even have 200 yards, and they've given up 368 to the nose here tonight. So it's a very, very one-sided game. Freeman back in. Quick strike to the outside. And Rashad Green short of the first down. As a reminder to stay tuned. Let me check that. Kenny Shaw, correct that. 81. Stay tuned now after the game. He's headed to the West Coast for your late local news over most of these ABC stations. And be sure to turn to ESPN for Sports Center for the highlights of the day in sports. The reigning Heisman Trophy winner, Johnny Manziel, goes down against Auburn today. So that's the second loss that he's suffered. Alabama beating him for the second consecutive year. Winston back firing complete. Here's O'Leary battling away. Inside the 10. Powerful run for the young man from South Florida. His grandpa, Jack Nicklaus, going to be proud of this run.
Maybe Jack taught him this. It's lowering the shoulder. The big fella. Boom! Right over top of Travis Blanks. Kind of sums up the night for Clemson's defense. Mercy.
First down and goal. Florida State with 184 yaks here tonight. Wow. Freeman still churning. Crosses the 5-yard line to the 4.
This offense has an offensive line that is physical, receivers that can make plays, and a tight end in Nick O'Leary that can do this. Jack is his grandfather. That's an old school play by a big tight end. He's pretty happy about that one. He's going to love it in the film room, too.
Woody Hayes would have loved that.
No doubt about that. But they've got a quarterback that's in sync. They got depth in the backfield, receivers making plays, and a line. These guys have it all going tonight.
Second and goal. Play action. A little bit too high for O'Leary. He wanted him in the back of the end zone. Got it up just a touch high.
He figured he earned it.
He was trying to feed the little bear.
Love the call there. Second down. If there's ever a time to try to throw the ball down in here, I think it's on first or second down. The time Florida State's Clemson's linebackers did just enough to be able to get back off of the play action fake to force him to throw it a little bit higher than he intended.
Beasley trying to get a jump. Winston's got an open path. Touchdown, Florida State. Pops likes it. That's my boy. Oh, baby.
If he likes that one, wait till he sees the entire night. What a great play and a simple play. But Winston, how comfortable is he in the pocket? We've seen him do that throughout his brief career this year. And that's another example. Instead of trying to step outside, he just steps into the pocket and finds a lane to get into the end zone.
Away-o. So it has been a night of nights for Jameis Winston. Thrown for 339. 3 touchdown passes and 1 rushing touchdown. And Pops loves every second. You have to go back to 2001. Chris Ricks, Javon Walker, the receiver. Greg Jones taking over on a 51-yard touchdown midway through the 4th. Bobby Bowden and the Noles beat Terry Bowden and Clemson 41-27 in that Bowden Bowl. And that, folks, is the last time that Florida State has won a game. They've lost 5 in a row here in South Carolina. But famous Jameis Winston is having a night of nights. Johnny Manziel, move over. That's Watkins coming near side, out of bounds, shy of the 20-yard line. And this week on ESPN's Monday Night Football, Adrian Peterson of the Vikings will take on Eli Manning and the winless Giants. Coverage begins with Monday Night Countdown at 6:30 p.m. Actually, I'm looking forward to see what John Gruden has to say when he breaks down the Giant tape and talks about Eli Manning's interceptions and things like that. I'm really looking forward to what John. I know he's going to break it down. I know he's going to talk about it. I'm going to be there. I can't believe, Herbie, that the Giants are winless this year. I just don't understand it.
Got to be the biggest surprise in the NFL.
I think so. And that's Martavis Bryant. I believe that's his first catch of the night. That's indeed his number one catch.
He's only been targeted a couple times. He had one go off his hands. These corners from Florida State have shut down all these receivers.
Power with McDowell.
No, bro, I think what they've done is they've taken away anything downfield. Taj Boyd only 1 of 9 on throws of 15 yards or longer. They've forced everything underneath, and they've been able to dominate at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, exactly. Now, that's what it's been hard for him to get downfield because they haven't given him that much time. I'm impressed with what Pruitt has done. There's a nice run by McDowell out close to good people. I'm very impressed with what Pruitt has done in adjusting this defense that Mark Stoops has done a good job with.
Yeah, they're doing it in a very different way. Taj Boyd's numbers tonight, I mean, that's one of the worst games that Taj Boyd's had in his career.
And he's a veteran quarterback. He's been under pressure for this defense.
Telvin Smith again. Telvin Smith's a safety playing linebacker. He talked a lot this week about the love that he has for this team. You can see the way he's playing tonight.
Yeah, there was one moment that I haven't mentioned about the Noles that I've got to applaud him. When Clemson was coming down the hill and everybody was excited and the Noles were coming out on the far side, they did not come out. There was no trash talking. They went over to their sideline, got ready for the football game.
Yep.
This is a business trip for Florida State.
A lot like Alabama's approach.
Taj Boyd taken down by Christian Jones is in there. Christian's had a big night. Herbie, you like him?
I like how they moved him to defensive end because of the loss of the powerhouse defensive ends that they had a year ago, and Warner and Jenkins and Carradine. They moved him down, and I think he's only going to get better as the year progresses, where they put his hand on the ground and give him a little bit more pressure off the edge. But their entire front four and rotating bodies in is playing so well.
Taj keeping it, trying to get that first down. And there's a penalty flag thrown near midfield on this play.
Holding 58 offense, 10 yards from the spot of the foul.
That's the center, Ryan Norton.
He locked up Telvin Smith. Telvin Smith is 6'3", about 218 pounds. You don't see a lot of linebackers in today's game at 218 pounds, but he has a tremendous amount of toughness to go with that 218 pounds. It allows him to play in the trenches in the middle of that defense.
That jersey says, I've been playing big boy football. I want to tell you that. Here's Taj. Taken down again with that constant pressure that has been coming his way. He just hasn't had a chance.
That's just rushing 4 guys and getting that kind of pressure. That's very, very unique and different. Usually it's a wide array of zone blitz and man pressures. They're just rushing 4 and getting there.
Tomahawk chop with the Florida State faithful who have traveled here for this game. Kenny Shaw fumbled it, but there's a penalty flag. Let's see if they gave him enough room to field that. Okay, Kenny Shaw was back, and the flag came flying. It seemed to be a lot of bodies down there. And let's see what the call is going to be here.
Big catch interference, number 8, kicking team.
People have not seen this, but those 5 offensive linemen, from the very first time we've gone to breaks, the linemen come out. Now the whole offense is out here, but you and I, every time we've gone to a break, we've been amused almost by that approach. It's like the corner that time, coverage, Robinson. These guys are like George Foreman. They just come out and stand. The rest of the offense is over there with Jimbo Fisher. They're on the field ready to play.
Carlos Williams will come in. He'll be the hammer now. You would expect Florida State to attempt to go to work on the clock. Matias, number 70.
Ball start, 70, offense, 5 yards, still first down.
I think that's part of the reason they moved Carlos Williams over from safety over to running back. It gives him more depth at that position. Freeman, a little bit more of a a back that has tremendous quickness, but Wilder with the power, and when he goes down with a concussion, you have Carlos Williams who can step in there and be the similar type of back.
And they're going to try Williams, and he's run out of bounds. And of course, our NFL countdown, 10 a.m. Eastern. You get all the latest news, updates from stadiums around the league. Ray Lewis going to sit down with Jet head coach Rex Ryan. And then before you get your lineups, catch Fantasy Football Now at 11 a.m. on ESPN2 to get your team ready. Freeman checks in as the Knowles running back here. (41-7). Final minute of the third quarter. Freeman breaks across Clemson's 40-yard line.
There's the difference when Freeman gets to football, and that's what teams in the rest of the ACC are going to have to deal with. That combination of Freeman, whether it's Wilder or Williams, more the power backs, mix in some play action, different formations. Just been a very, very effective package that Jimbo Fisher and his offensive staff have put together for Jameis Winston. Go on the road and average 7 yards a play. You got to feel pretty good about your chances.
Here's Freeman. Will attempt to stay in bounds, and he couldn't there at the end. It went out to stop the clock, and a flag comes flying. There is a penalty flag.
After the player was out of bounds, personal foul, late hit, number
Well, that's
47.
10 penalties now, Brent. Going back to what you were talking about earlier.
Yeah, Robert Smith incurs that penalty, and Knowles are threatening again here.
How about that block by Nick O'Leary, the tight end? We've seen him make some catches. This time, he just kind of sets the edge at the top. Look at that block on Shaq Lawson. That's what allows the big fella Trey Jackson to get around the corner. The block by O'Leary was key there.
Running off the final seconds here in the third quarter. They'll take a 41-7 lead. And famous Jameis says the fourth quarter belongs to us. We're not finished. Back after this message and a word from your local ABC stations. And as you look down on our scene, it has been a Florida State beatdown here in Clemson. 445 yards of offense to 200 yards of offense for the Clemson Tigers. Freeman and Williams in that backfield as the Knowles are threatening again here. The first snap of the final quarter. Freeman on the sweep, and he is out of bounds around the 7-yard line. Another penalty flag comes flying.
Holding, 52 offense, 10 yards, still first down.
That's Brian Stork, the center. So coach says you're not perfect tonight. You're having a good night, but you weren't perfect.
I love to see his eyes there of disappointment. You know, here they are 41-7, and he's discouraged and disappointed there. They still are competing.
Williams, hard runner to the 15-yard line.
Some guys, all these years you've covered this, and I know for me, there's some guys that just you almost feel like they're born to do this. And Jameis Winston feels like that. He just feels like the bigger the stage, the better he's going to play. Some guys have that, and some guys have to hope to get to that point. Jameis Winston, we saw it in the pregame, and we were showing Clemson come down the hill. We went into the Florida State locker room, and he had a look on his face like, this is why we're here. Let's go do this. We're not leaving without a win. And those players were looking at him like he was a fifth-year senior.
Freeman. So he's down to the 7-yard line. Bringing the clock down. Freeman battles for that first down.
He got the first down there. I was just talking about that pregame. Going back, here he is. First big game on the road. He looks terrified, nervous. Woo. I mean, it's like he knew something that no one else knew.
I want to thank Jimbo Fisher and the entire coaching staff for allowing our crew to put a camera inside their locker room prior to the start of this big game. Okay, that's a wonderful, wonderful thing that you convinced them, Herbie, that it would be good. And as far as I'm concerned, there's your first Heisman moment right there.
Yeah, no doubt about it. You know what? The look in his eyes said it all. That was pregame.
And when he walked into this stadium, when he got off the bus, he had the big smile on his face.
Yeah.
Acted like he didn't have a care in the world, and he's played that way here.
It's like Jimbo's going to get a timeout here. You know those Alabama teams, you know, they always coach. Nick Saban, we always kind of kid. In the national championship, he's up by 20 or 30. He's coaching in the last. Jimbo, exact same way.
Well, we're going to take a look at our Pacific Live game summary, and we're going to start with Winston's entry. First time in his stadium. 3 versus 5. Am I nervous? First play of the game. Touchdown after a turnover. Oh, yeah, I can run it in, too.
Yeah, he's pretty much done it all. And then on the other side of the ball, let's not forget about this Florida State defense. They have been all over Taj Boyd. He's 14 to 32 on the night. Getting a lot of pressure, created the 2 turnovers. They turned those turnovers into points early. What a great game. Big-time game by LaMarcus Joyner. Created both of those early turnovers, and Florida State really hasn't looked back since the early part of the game.
And that was a good scoop and score for young Mario Edwards, who dashed in.
Yeah.
We've had some defensive linemen the last few weeks score a touchdown.
We have.
First down and goal. Freeman bounces off, spins, powerful run for a touchdown.
Brought in a big offensive lineman there, Ira Denson, as an H-back. Big 55 in there. O'Leary getting a push. Freeman never giving up on it. He's quietly had a really consistent night himself. See if he gets the ball across. Looks like the knee touched right as it was crossing the plane.
Away-o. And it is 48-7. Number 5. And remember, Florida State was a slight favorite in this game. They're showing they should have been a big favorite. Florida State leading Clemson 48-7 as we continue the Dr. Pepper road to the championships. Remember, a year ago, Florida State put 49 points on Clemson, 35 straight in the second half. Florida State in that game in Tallahassee had 667 yards of offense. Tonight they've got 467. But more importantly, their defense has held Clemson to only 200 yards here tonight. They'll take a knee. Be an opportunity to remind you that the chase for the Sprint Cup heads to Talladega Super Speedway, where anything can happen. The NASCAR Sprint Cup Series at Talladega, presented by 5 Hour Energy, tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. Matt Kenseth and Jimmy Johnson. And a terrific duel for that Chase championship. 4 points separate Kenseth and Johnson. And Talladega is one of the more exciting tracks on that circuit to watch. So Clemson,
number 22, DJ.
go ahead, Irving.
We talked earlier about Jeremy Pruitt, the Alabama secondary coach for the last 3 years for Alabama. Just can't say enough about not just Jeremy Pruitt. First time he's had a chance to be a coordinator at a big-time program, but Charles Kelly coaching the linebackers. He was at Georgia Tech last year. Salson series working with the defensive ends. Odell Haggins has been around for a long time, 20 years. He's been a defensive line coach for Florida State. This entire staff put together a great game plan for Taj Boyd.
DJ Howard was the running back as Taj Boyd hits Humphreys, and we can check in, and the drive chart shows you the story. Those are the last 6 drives against that Noel defense that we told you about.
And this is an offense that can score a lot of points. That's impressive.
Watkins on the outside.
We're talking about the staff and these numbers, but we also got to talk about these players. You and I, everybody up here in this booth, have been marveling at LaMarcus Joyner. Remember, he's 5'8", 190 pounds, just a ball of muscle. His leadership and his playmaking ability tonight had a lot to do with the way this game unfolded.
2nd and 4, and here's Howard, and let's check in from Orange with Heather. There's a penalty flag, but go ahead, Heather.
Well, speaking of LaMarcus Joyner, I just learned some great Florida State lore. So Bobby Bowden started this tradition. They call it the Sod Cemetery. Now it's reserved just for big road wins. They designated this a Sod game. So before the game, they elected a Sod captain. Now, ironically, the captain tonight, LaMarcus Joyner. How perfect. So after the game, Joyner will actually go to the end zone and subtly extract, well, not so subtly now that I'm telling you guys all about it, but he'll take a piece of sod, they'll take it back to Tallahassee and put it in the Sod Cemetery, which is right by the practice facility. They'll make a plaque for it. I guess there's tons of pieces of sod from big Florida wins, big road wins. I love it, guys.
Indeed, and Joyner also picked up that foul, and Howard, who has checked in, busts across the 20-yard line. So DJ Howard, a junior from Lincoln, Alabama, the ball carrier for Clemson.
A little foreshadowing by picking him to be the young man who had ended up getting the sod if they had to win.
Exactly. Howard is stopped on that play, and we come down toward the 11-minute mark. Well, it'll be interesting how they sort out tomorrow. Alabama winning big. You've got Oregon with an early lead on Washington State, and of course you've got the Noles primed to jump here, and that battle will begin for the top 2 spots dropped.
I don't know how you feel, Brent, but I think there's Alabama, Oregon, and Florida State, and then there's a significant drop to everybody else as we sit here right now. I mean, this team gets thrown into the ring with Alabama and Oregon. This has been a dominating performance, and it's really been a dominating 6 games this year for Jimbo Fisher. You can't say that about any of these other teams that are up there.
Zach Brooks checks into the backfield. Dancing. He picked up a couple yards, with Jones making another stop for the Noles.
One thing Jeremy Pruitt learned from Nick Saban, even though you're up 48-7, take pride in that red zone. They're still blitzing. They're still coming after Taj Boyd.
Taj Boyd in a foot race. And it's complete for a first down. Right along that sideline, and he slipped it into Jordan Leggett's hands.
A heck of a catch by Leggett. There's Joyner. He gets the 1 foot down. He's got to finish the process of the catch.
Meanwhile, in baseball, the Red Sox are closing in on an American League championship. A couple innings away, leading the Tigers 5-2 in Game 6. Cardinals await the winner there.
Who do you have there, Brent?
You know, the National League, but it's going to be a great World Series. The Red Sox are a good baseball team.
I'm a Reds fan. I just tip my cap to the organization of the St. Louis Cardinals. It doesn't matter who they lose. The players go, La Russa goes, and that program, that franchise just, it's the DNA of their program. So impressive.
Incomplete.
You can see the eyes and the questions from the true freshman receiver. Still maturing. He's a future superstar here, but he's still trying to get on the same page with Taj Boyd. And after that throw, he kind of looked back. What? Left? But back? Okay.
Taj Boyd will earn his degree here at Clemson before the first of the year. And then after the bowl game, he will head on out to one of the camps, this one probably in California, to get ready for the NFL Combine. Inside run for Taj, a little short of the goal line. You'd think you were in Tallahassee.
Yeah, it does feel like that.
Did not want to yield another touchdown, and they stop him at the 1-yard line.
And you know who made the play right in the middle of it? Telvin Smith. He and Joyner, the leaders of this defense. Nobody picked him up at the second level. He was just sitting there waiting, and he makes the play. There's a lot of pride in the line for any defense, but especially in a game where you're up 48-7, you want to have a chance for a goal line stand that stopped them from scoring, and Telvin Smith makes sure that they get it.
I believe I'd like to be in Tallahassee on November 2nd. You're watching Saturday Night Football on ABC, presented by the new Windows.
Saturday Night Football presented by Windows. Brought to you by the new Windows, Cadillac, and Silver Star Ultra headlights from Sylvania.
We've had all access to these two schools all week, courtesy of Wells Fargo, from the training table to the classroom to the locker room. You see Chad Morris on the right, the fine offensive coordinator of Clemson. Had a tough night here against his defense. Only able to put 7 points up, trailing 48-7, still 8:40 to go. And Jameis Winston is lined up, coming out from his own 1-yard line. Abram and Freeman are behind him. Freeman was close to not getting out, but I think he did. So their last 40-point home loss back in 1976, 41-0 to the Dogs.
Dabo Swinney wants to make sure that this game doesn't impact him next week and the week after.
That was a great face.
Says it all.
It tells the entire story. When you look at that fan who's so disappointed, many of the fans here have already left the stadium. From the end zone, lobs it out. O'Leary wide open. 40. Midfield, 40, 35, 30, 20, 10 down at the 5. I'll tell you one thing, he's faster than Jack ever was.
How about this call, by the way? 2 tight ends up big, slip the tight end out. The safety's out of position. And you're right, Nick O'Leary gets out in the open field. He was highly recruited. Almost every school in the country wanted Nick O'Leary as a tight end out of Dwyer in South Florida. He turns on the Jets. Clemson fortunate to catch up to him.
94 yards.
That helps
before Johnson runs him down.
That gets Winston up to 444 yards passing.
He's saying, come on, aren't you going to take me out for a play? You going to make me stay out here?
Hopefully they try to get him a touchdown. What a night for O'Leary.
He's looking 34. He's saying, you got a free run, my friend.
Slide him into the corner.
First and goal now for the Knowles. Freeman, second down and goal. Of course, you know, you're running into that situation here with 7 minutes to go where there's a lot of fans, Florida State fans, who are saying, you know, let's get some of these guys off the field. You know, we've still got a season ahead of us, and when are we going to rest Winston? When do we get the running backs out? You run into this, the game's over. You got to be a little bit careful now when you hit the last 6 minutes of a ball game. I'm sure that Winston wants to stay in here. Freeman, Beasley wrestled him down.
Getting a kick out of Nick O'Leary at the top here. Remember that long run he had? He's not taking any plays off. That was Vic Beasley. He tried to push back. Beasley ends up making a play, but he is gassed and still out there trying to do his job.
94 yards will do that too.
Oh, yeah. He's still in recovery mode.
Freeman again right straight ahead. And that'll bring up fourth and goal.
Bobby Bowden has to be sitting home watching this, very proud of this team and what they've done.
Yeah, you know, he said some very nice things about Winston.
He sure did.
He said this week that he could wind up being the best quarterback they've ever had, and they've had some good ones down there now.
They sure have. Look at the eyes. What a leader. You just can't believe he's a freshman.
Yeah, that's what's hard to believe. I mean, I totally agree with you.
It's like he's a junior or a senior. It's like he's been out here in this environment his whole life. Born to do this.
And oh, by the way, don't try to go from first to third on a single against him either. Then we'll take a break. Then we'll wrap it up. Florida State well on our way to a signature win this season. Back in Clemson for the final 4:45. Florida State giving Clemson a spanking. It's 48-7. 20-yard field goal attempt coming up here for Roberto Anguello. He's had a good night kicking. Knocks down the field goal. 51 points here tonight. So Jameis Winston and the Knowles. We want to thank everybody on the truck and all of our cameramen and all the folks who helped us with this production here tonight. It's been a grand effort. Nice going, gang. Monday Night Football on ESPN. It'll be the Minnesota Vikings taking on the winless New York Giants. Josh Freeman, who was picked up from Tampa after Tampa turned him loose, is going to start for the Vikes. Might want to tune in and see what kind of a new look that team will have. And, of course, the Giants, they'll take any old kind of a win. That's your Monday night, and here's your little pooch. Again fielded on the 20-yard line. They've kept the ball out of the hands of the speedsters, and that was legged again. And let's check in with Robert Flores. Robert, back here with the and if you ask me about Florida State, yeah, they were pretty good tonight.
Yeah, other than that, we know nothing.
I was listening intently to his update from the West Coast. You know,
yeah,
he did a good job. Second down and 5.
This is the thing about Jameis Winston that you really like is his night's over and he starts to go around and make the rounds with the team. There's O'Leary who had the big touchdown catch. He's like, oh, almost, but he makes his rounds. He goes to all the offensive linemen. There's his fullback, there's his receivers, makes his way over to some of the big linemen, but he's reaching out, and that's that leadership that is so unique with him.
Cole Stout has checked in, so Taj Boyd's night is also over, and a very, very disappointing night for Taj Boyd. And Jameis Winston, and the 51 points tonight. That is the most points scored by any opponent at Death Valley. As the Noles come in here, ranked number 5, favored by a field goal, and they put 51 points on the board. And any defensive coordinator getting ready to take on the Noles, they got their hands full with Jameis Winston and the rest of this attack. Offensive line was impressive tonight. Stout picks up the first down.
We got a long way to go, Brent. This is the best Florida State team I've seen since going back to 2000 when they ended up getting to the national championship. If they can execute the way they did tonight on both sides of the ball, it's the best they've looked in 12 or 13 years when they got to the championship game.
No question. They had to deal with Michael Vick that night in New Orleans, and Vick and Virginia Tech made a great run at him. And Peter Warwick had a punt return for a touchdown. And the Seminoles won a national championship with Bobby Bowden as a coach, and they've been trying to get back to that level ever since. Here's Stout. Drops it off now to Zach Brooks.
Winston's going to get a lot of the attention, and he should. But I think you and I and anybody who's watched this game, you got great leadership on the other side of the football. You have seniors that have been around and suffered through some really tough times. It makes this team, I think, very focused and very hungry.
3rd down and 3. Final couple of minutes here, just dropping the ball off now to Zach. He picks up the first down. Coming up after the game, stay tuned for the Ford wrap-up with Robert Flores. Well, Lee Corso might want to call up Bill Murray and have a second match between those two, and they might want to take that spear to Murray this time. Corso's Noles came home. Yeah, stop this fight. Okay.
Well, he got the best of him.
There he comes.
By the way,
here he comes. Now watch this. This was
Corso had no idea.
Ad-libbed.
No idea.
Murray
this
throws him down on the grass. Now watch this beautiful wrestling slam. And now watch this.
And we're like, what's he doing?
I love it. I gotta give him another one. Okay. All right.
Then he takes the spear. Then he tries to help him up.
Get that spear out of here. Drops it off now to Bryant. Bryant got good speed and out of bounds at about the 32-yard line here in the final. It's a very painful loss for Clemson, but they need to regroup because they've got some goals ahead of them. And you know, you pointed out with commercial, Herbie, that a loss like this can affect you for a couple of weeks if you're not careful.
And they're on the road the next couple of weeks. They've got to put this one behind them. This is one you might not even want to look at the film. Just move past it. Don't dwell on it. Try to get ready for the rest of the season. At Maryland, at Virginia, they have Georgia Tech, the Citadel, and then a big rivalry game on the road in Columbia against South Carolina. This one stings. I mean, they wanted this big stage, and the last thing they wanted to happen was 51-7.
Absolutely. This one probably hurts even a little bit more than the licking that West Virginia gave them down in the Orange Bowl, I believe it was, a couple years ago, because this one's right here in Clemson. Most points an opponent's ever scored in Death Valley. Jameis Winston, the architect for the Noles, the offensive line, and everybody on that team did a terrific job tonight.
How ironic that Florida State's next game is North Carolina State, because the next challenge for this team is going to be not to start to believe all the hype.
Because here it comes. The hype is coming.
Because remember last year they lost in Raleigh when they should have won the game. And Jimbo told us this week that's been part of the growth for this program. So you look at these games, the huge game is November 2nd. But all these are winnable. If they play the way they did tonight, I don't know if anybody on that schedule can hang with them.
Well, we'll see what the Canes can come up with. That's a pretty good rivalry game. And then don't forget the Gators over there in Gainesville, even though they haven't played well this year. That too. I mean, that could be a trap game over there. All right.
I'll take your word for that.
I'm just trying to sell some tickets.
I got you, Ben.
You know
Have you seen that Florida State offense? Those are two
I was going to
corners.
die. You know, I was going to crown them as the champions of Florida because I think they could beat Jacksonville. Just kidding, folks. I understand. No college team can beat any
UCF.
I got it.
UCF.
Very good football team.
They might become your
UCF.
non-automatic qualifier that gets in.
Big win over Louisville. Joe O'Leary, fine football coach there. Deflected. Northrop in on the ball. Did a good job. That's Reggie Northrop, and he's a sophomore from Jacksonville.
Yeah, the Jimbo Fisher's challenge will be keep this team angry, keep them hungry, keep them humble. It's a great win. Pat them on the back. Get ready for the next one. Stay angry if I'm Florida State.
Bryant up in the air. Final 29 seconds. And Wason, who was the defender over there.
You have a lot of backups in the game. The Knowles are still they're yelling from the sidelines about trying to keep them out of the end zone.
Stout fires. And they did keep him out. That was Hopper, the receiver.
They can still get a first down without having to score. It's not 4th and goal.
It was 17-0 when Clemson scored. Made it 17-7. And the Tigers haven't been able to score since. Again, over 30-some unanswered points, just like a year ago in Tallahassee. Stout dives for that end zone, battles his way in. So the junior from Dublin, Ohio, with a touchdown here for the Tigers.
Dad's Clip Scout.
Played the National Football League.
Sure did.
Catanzaro knocks in the extra point. All right, 10 a.m. tomorrow, Sunday NFL Countdown. Get ready for all the day's games, the stories around the league. Ray Lewis will sit down with Jets head coach Rex Ryan, who was once his defensive coordinator. Then you can set your lineups, catch fantasy football, 11 a.m. ESPN2. Get your team ready. How many of you have got one Peyton Manning on your fantasy team?
What a game, huh?
Oh, what a season he's having. And then, of course, that's going to be a great game. Peyton's going to go back in Indianapolis. It'll be the Broncos and the Colts. Well, so the tale of the tape of our two quarterbacks. And very, very much one-sided there. The freshman, famous Jameis Winston.
I think everybody will always remember the first time this freshman got on a big stage and how he performs. He's had that smile on his face since he got off the bus and walked into the stadium.
Somewhere, somebody at Maryland is saying, we're not surprised.
Right. No doubt.
One to the ground now. Knowles will bounce on that football. And
great team effort.
Yes, it was.
Jameis Winston will get a lot of the attention, but a great team effort. The 2 weeks to prepare. Jeremy Pruitt can't say enough about those defenders. They should be proud. Telvin Smith, he did step up.
We came together tonight.
So the young man is Jacob Coker from Mobile, Alabama. He'll take the final snap, and there you can see an embrace with Jimbo Fisher. And 6'4" Jameis Winston. Winston 22 of 34, 444 yards, 3 touchdowns, and another rushing touchdown. And some fine defensive efforts in there. Herbie talked about Telvin Smith, LaMarcus Joyner. They were outstanding all night long.
Jameis Winston told me this week, as a team, they want to bring that swag back, that Florida State swag. A pretty good step tonight.
Let's check in down below with Heather Cox and the winning coach.
Coach, congratulations on the win. Believe it or not, this is the most points ever scored here in Death Valley by a Clemson opponent. What does that say about your team's ability to come and get a convincing win here?
We didn't realize that, but I'm just happy the way our kids have grown up. We've learned to play on the road in important games. And, you know, we're halfway there. We got another half the season to go, but I'm proud of the growth of what these guys have shown. Our assistant coaches did a tremendous job, and our players did a great job.
And another offensive explosion tonight, Coach. What kind of impact has Jameis Winston had on your team?
Well, I think he brings us a confidence to our team, but the consistency with the guys around him has really allowed him to football game tonight against a great offense.
Speaking of that defense, you guys hit the ground running with that fumble recovery that turned into a touchdown. At what point did you know that this would be a special night?
I say, you don't ever know till the fourth quarter or so, because Clemson's so explosive and you're on the road. We've learned that we can't take our foot off the accelerator, and, you know, I'm just proud of our guys. I really am. We got a long way to go, though.
We'll let you enjoy it, Coach. We'll talk to Jameis right over your shoulder. Nice win, Coach. Jameis, congratulations on the win. All night long, people talking about how difficult it is to come into Death Valley and come away with a win. How did you play with such poise and confidence as such a young guy?
Well, first of all, I just got to thank my Lord and Savior. But my team is so good. I'm so confident in my guys. And that man you just was talking to, I love him. I love him with all my heart. He called a great game. We played a great game. We were not scared. We came in confidence. And my offensive line blocked their tail off. My wide receivers caught everything I threw. My running backs ran the ball. They played a great game.
You played with so much poise and leadership. Before the game, you said you don't even know what the word nervous means when you're on the field. Where does that confidence come from?
You always got confidence when you got a great team like that. When you have, like, those guys are better. They've been there, done that. We knew that this was going to be a tough environment, but I told them, I said, guys, we're not worried about no noise because we're going to bring the noise.
Well, guess what, Jameis? A conversation has started tonight. It started upstairs with Brent and Herbie. It's across the country that you are in the thick of the Heisman conversation. How do you respond to something like that just 6 games in?
I got to thank my team. I got to thank my offensive line. If it wasn't for them, if it wasn't for Kenny Shaw, Rashad Green, Brian Stork, Cam Irvin, my whole team, Kevin Benjamin, if it wasn't for all those guys, Devontae Freeman, I mean, I could just keep naming. If it wasn't for them, if it wasn't for Coach Fisher giving me the opportunity, if it wasn't for the man upstairs blessing me and blessing me with that team, it would not be there.
Jameis, look at this. You've turned Death Valley into Tallahassee overnight. Well done.
Hey, thank you. I'm trying to tell you, Florida State bringing that swag back.
Told you.
He's the real deal, folks.
They want to bring that swag back.
There's no mistake about this young man. And you can see the crowd down on the field. Of course, it's legal here at Clemson. They let the fans come onto the field. Many of them are out there. And they've got friends with this other school. Yes, indeed, Herbie. He did bring the noise here tonight.
Bring the noise, and that swag he's talking about is referring to those 14 years when Bobby Bowden had the Knowles rolling, and when they took the field, there was an aura. He's trying to create that aura, he and his teammates. What I love, Brent, is it's about him. He's deflecting. It's about my receivers. It's about my line. It's about my running backs. It's about my coach. Love to hear that from a young quarterback.
He was 22 of 34 for 441 yards. He threw for 3 touchdowns, and he ran for a 4th. And he also had the 1 interception, which you could say was about his only mistake of the night.
He's looking for his parents.
Searching for mom and dad. They're trying to get to it. Now he's got him. 51-14's our final. It was all Florida State. So now it is time for the Ford wrap-up, and what a day this has been in college football. We want to go to Robert Flores, and he'll tell you all about the shakeup. Indeed, it was Shake-Up Saturday. So long, everybody.